Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my updated deck profile for Dash.io. Kind of talk about some of the learnings I've had the last few weeks of the hero, and hopefully give you kind of an updated list on someone who's put in some decent games with her, and just kind of give you, something to look at here since I gave my version 1 list a few weeks back when the hero was first released. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Patreon and the Discord down below. So, again, I wanted to give a version 2 of this list. I gave an initial week 1, version 1 thought of the list, and I've learned a lot about the hero since I've been playing with her the last few weeks. Now, I had some testing up into the testing Talishar games, right, if you can call it that, with Arachne and Katsu. But other than that, I've been really putting in a lot of time with Dash.io. I've been trying to figure out a build for me that I enjoy, that works for her. And honestly, after putting in about, I'd say over 100 games into the hero now, just on casual Talishar testing, I think I finally came to a build that works. And I've also taken some inspiration from Arcan Altars in the Discord, Purple Discord, so shout out to them, as well as a couple other good Dash.io players I've just been seeing talking in the Discord, and use some of their stuff, as well as a few cards of my own, kind of going through, different decision points. So we're going to get right into it. I'm also going to be doing deck techs on Max, as well as Riptide in the future. So definitely check out those. I don't want to just become churning out deck techs or deck profiles, but I do want to give more light to some of these heroes, because I think post Lexi and post Worlds, I think is a really good time to explore new heroes. And I think heroes like Dash specifically are very undervalued, and I think she's actually going to have a really good place in the meta from an aggro deck standpoint. And then heroes like Max, I think, are completely underexplored, and have a lot of potential. And then even Riptide. I am not saying Riptide is a meta hero by any means. However, I am saying I think Riptide is going to have, is more playable than people are perceiving. Really bad Jeremiah matchup, but there are some winnable matchups and really fun things you can do with it. We just had Riptide get second place at a Pro Quest this week, so doing really good with that. So we'll get right into it. Overarching thoughts of the deck. In version 1 of the list, I wasn't running the backup protocols. I was running boom grenades, but I was running rainbow boom grenades. And I was really just going for this crazy aggro list with Teklo core boom grenades and optical monocle, and just really trying to make use of these combat trick mechanics. But you quickly learn that people can block you out efficiently and will block you out efficiently, especially in this meta. And, it was either a feast or famine type deck. And then it kind of slowly evolved into from rainbow boom grenades to 6 boom grenades. I was doing just yellows and blues. And then I was using cards like penetration script as well as overload script. I'm still not sure on this card yet. We'll talk about that. And I got rid of the optical monocle because it was just a little bit too slow. But we kept in Teklo cores. I wasn't running Toma Fiendal originally, but I started running that. And basically, my thought process of the deck went from just crazy push damage combat tricks to action point manipulation. And you want to create that action point manipulation in order to have these crazy unfair wide turns where you draw a bunch of cards like High Octane and Toma Fiendal and even Backup Protocol, when you combine it with cards like Teklo Core, and you can just really hit hard really fast. Dash.io on a really good turn can literally do 25, 35 damage out of nowhere. 20 in the mid to high 20s pretty easily on a really good turn. And then on a crazy blowout turn with tomes and just drawing cards, you can do even more. So when it comes to the equipment, pretty standard here. In most aggro or mid-range matchups, you're running Achilles Accelerator, obviously, for the action point, but also has AB1. Crown Province is also pretty common here. Goliath Gauntlet for those aggro matchups. And then Symbiosis Shot. This weapon is absolutely busted. Unbelievable weapon. And finally, Tekla Foundry Heart. For the sideboard equipment, we're running Adaptive Plating. I have this for the Bravo matchup, as well as just any matchup where I need to block a little bit more. Excuse me on the drink, y'all. I've had a weird thing with my throat the last couple days, so I apologize. But Adaptive Plating for the Bravo matchup. For Uziri, I've been running it. And I've even been running this in Lexi when it was relevant, because it just helps you be able to block a key arrow when you need to, especially when you have stuff like penetration script with no counter, so it's going to pop next turn anyway. Same thing with boom grenade. When you use these on their last possible turn they're going to be used, and they're going to pop at the start of your next turn, that's the perfect time to pop Adaptive Plating. And then we obviously have Visitronic model for the AB. So that's the equipment. The equipment's pretty standard. It hasn't really changed. I haven't really messed with anything else as far as that. When it comes to the deck itself, what we are trying to do, this is an aggro deck, right? This is a kind of all gas, no brakes. Obviously, you can, pick and choose when you want to boost, when you don't want to boost, conserve stuff here and there. But really what you're trying to do is have consistent pressure, I'd say like 10 to 13 damage a turn, and then you're looking for those blowout turns with high octane and Toma Fiendal, and just being able to have action point manipulation, even Spark of Genius, and be able to just draw a bunch of cards, play a bunch of boost attacks, and then finish with like 4 to 5 charges off your Symbiosis shot, and just really take advantage of those high damage turns. So going through the item base, I'm running 12 items. I've gone up as high as 18, but in the main board on a 60-card clean deck, I'm running 12. So I got on backup protocol, like I said, from the Arcan Altars. I hope I'm saying their name right. List. And originally I wasn't on this card. I was like, why do you run this card? But then I realized how good this card actually is, right? Oftentimes, and I might not even be using all the right use cases for it, but oftentimes you'll have a card like Teclocore out, and you'll play this off the top, cranking it for 1 resource, and you're able to have 2 floating, then you activate it and go get like a 0 to 60. What you see this card as is this card turns a blue into a red, essentially, depending on how you play it. It's like similar to like Codex of Frailty, not obviously all the added stuff, but it's similar to where you can go get a good attack that you previously played. So this is a 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of 0 to 60 or Zipper Hit or even Underloop if they blocked it out, or Pulse Wave Harpoon. You're able to recur threats, especially your significant ones, and really be able to take advantage of that on top of action point gaining and manipulation. So I love this card. Probably never take it out. It's really good. I could see someone running a 2 of, but it's too good right now, and I'm keeping it at a 3 of. As far as other items, Boom Grenade, I have 3 yellows in the main and 3 blues in the side. I've been on 6 Boom Grenades for a while, but really what I'm finding is Boom Grenade, unless you have like a penetration script or it's some crazy blowout turn, people are just going to block you out when you play this card. You really want to play this card in like a super opportune moment off the top of your deck for a combat trick, right? You don't want to just play this and then have it out for a turn or 2, because people are just going to block you out and you're going to mill yourself. And unless you have some crazy breakpoint turn, which you can have, this isn't really going to hit. But the amount of resources you have to expend to get this extra 3 damage sometimes isn't worth it. So only having 3 in your deck in the main board to have off the top of your deck for really key moments is really good. And it works similar to like Razor Reflex almost, where like when people get low, they have to keep this in mind. And really the threat of this is just as powerful as it actually hitting. So I'm at 3 in the main board and 3 in the side. I'm off reds. Having the 4 damage versus the 3 damage doesn't matter as much, and you can at least use these for pitch. So that's where I'm at with that. That's 6. We'll skip penetration script right now. I'll come back to that. So 3, and then we have 6 here. We actually have 11 items. Then we have our 7th, 8th, and 9th slot is Teclocore. This thing drives everything. If you can get this out early, it's even more impactful than it is in OG Dash, in my opinion. This feels so many crazy go-wide turns, especially when you start incorporating Max V and things like that. It allows you to just do really unfair things. Being able to play like, just the thought, like having this pop at the start of your turn, gain 2 resources, being able to play this off the top of the deck for free, with penetration script, and then all your attacks for the rest of the turn have +1. You don't have to crank, or being able to play like a high octane without expending a card from hand is an obvious one. Being able to play cards like Throttle and Heist for free, and you just have these really go wide turns that just become unfair really, really fast. And yeah, it enables all of your turns. It allows you to have a lot of flexibility. And then for the 9th or the 10th and 11th spot, I currently have penetration script. I did have overload script for a while here. I do like overload script a lot. I think overload script does some really cool things. And really, for me, people are running D-reacts into you, but not as crazy. I think penetration script is a little bit better. The value you get is a little bit more, especially in the aggro decks, because like the reason I switched to penetration script is because a lot of Lexi and Katsu and Fire are starting to become more popular, and even Azalea is starting to become more popular. And those decks either aren't going to block you or they don't care to block you, or maybe they're just trying to block you with one card anyway. They're not trying to like block multiple cards. So overload script doesn't really help in those matchups. And then in the slower matchups like Bravo and Uziri and things like that, they have a lot of D-reacts anyway, so they don't care about overload script, right? So I switched to penetration script because of that, and you normally can get, I'd say, a minimum of 4 value off this card, like +4, +3, +4, usually. I'd say +3 is like the low on the floor. The ceiling of this card is like +6, +8, because you play it like off a Teklo core for free, and then you play like 0 to 60, pitch a blue, play throttle, then play zipper hit or something like that. Obviously, that's an ideal thing, and that's +3 value. The next turn, it's still up, and you play like another 0 for 60, another underloop, you know, a T-bone, and then something else, whatever the case may be, because you still have that other Teklo core up. So it allows you to get like 6 to 8 value off of it, which is super nice. So that's the item. So we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 items on the list. I think 12 to 13 items is probably I wouldn't go above 12, to be honest. I think you need to see them like you see blues, like, and you want to see them off the top of your deck, ideally. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Then we have some of the base attacks. A lot of these attacks, pretty much every attack with the exception of Expedite, I want to hit a breakpoint, because originally what I was trying to do in this list is have a lot of zero cost and just really go super wide. But what you find is people just block you out and you get fatigued. So having a lot of break points has been really nice. Dive through data is really good just to dig for your items. The only zero cost I do have in the list is Expedite at red. It's a 0 for 3, and it allows me to, if I draw into an item that I don't want to crank to have to gain the action point, or don't want to arsenal, playing Expedite for 3 at the start of a turn. Some decks, especially the aggro decks, won't block you, and then being able to drop in like a boom grenade or drop in even a card that normally costs something like penetration script is really, really nice. Heist is really good to go get those cards that you had to boost away. It will come up. You'll have times where, like, at the start of your turn, you'll have like a zero cost item on top of your deck. You'll play it, obviously, because you get once per turn activation from Dash. But then you boost once, and then all of a sudden another item comes up, and you're like, crap, I have to boost that item away if I want to continue my turn. So Heist allows you to go get those, which is super, super nice. High Octane, it's stupid. Like, this card's nuts. It allows you to do so many crazy things with Symbiosis Shot, being able to have like a 12 to 15 damage turn off your normal attacks, and then fire Symbiosis Shot 4 or 5 times for 10 more damage. It's really, really crazy. It also gets even nuttier when you include things like Tome of Fjendal. Like, there's nothing sweeter than, I've had turns, this is just random, where it's like Teklo Core is on the field, gives you 2 resources. Play a High Octane, 1 resource floating, gain action point every time you boost. Play a Zipper Hit with your 1 resource floating, boost, gain action point. Pitch Blue, play Tome of Fjendal from Arsenal, gain 4 to 5 life, draw 2 cards, go back down to 1 action point, then play out 2 or 3 more attacks, going back up to 3 action points, then you play Symbiosis Shot, right? Like, you get so much value off of High Octane and cards like High Octane and Tome of Fjendal. It gets really done really fast. And you can even combine that with cards like Spark of Genius in those turns to go get more items and go get more things. Even on, like, unfortunate turns with High Octane, depending on what you have, like, being able to, like, play a High Octane, let's say you have 2 blues and a 0 to 60, and a Spark of Genius. You play 0 to 60, boost, go up to 2 action points, play Spark of Genius, break the chain, put 0 to 60 back in your, grave, go get backup protocol, crank it, go back up to 2 action points, crack backup protocol with one of your blues, go get the 0 to 60 you just put in grave, play it again. Like, there's just, like, yes, it seems a little bit redundant, but at times, like, it just allows you to loop attacks and be insanely efficient, because sometimes when you draw a High Octane, you might not have all the reds you want or all the high power attacks you want, right? You have like 2 blues and a yellow. Well, stuff like Spark of Genius and Backup Protocol allow you to kind of fix your hand a little bit and push a little bit more damage. So that's really nice. Yeah, it's just about action point manipulation. It's a true aggro deck. The kind of key is knowing when to push and when not to. You don't always have to boost. Sometimes you can end the chain with a non-boosted attack, depending on what it is. I have found that in my sideboard, really what I'm doing is I have a 60-card core. Most all matchups, I'm going over 60. I haven't made an official sideboard guide yet, but that's kind of where I'm at. Max velocity is obviously for the matchups where We're trying to go fast. I have Gas Guzzler in here because it's a 3-for-6 boost that can have be a popper for Dromai. You also could put Payload in here if you wanted, but I like the fact that I can still boost this. Firewall I have in here. I'm not sure about this card yet. I either love this card or hate it. The fact that it's a red pitch is what sucks, because when you draw this in your hand and you have tempo, it sucks. Because you can't arsenal it. It's not like a Sink Below, right? If I draw into a Sink Below, yes, Sink Below is a non-mechanologist, so it's a little bit risky, but at least with Sink Below, I can arsenal at the end of my turn. With this, I basically have to pitch this away if I draw into it, right, on offense. So it's a little bit wonky, but I'm not hating it too much so far. It is really nice to at least have a 4-block that won't, kill me off a boost and stop my turn. One backup protocol to help cycle in blues. I usually use this in Icelander matchup or in like Kano, because it's a blue and it allows me to cycle blues back into my deck. Boom Grenade again for a little bit more of, usually for Kano and like other stuff where I need a little bit higher blue count. I'm testing Cognition nodes into Dromai to help, recur threats. But with Dromai, normally it's a race anyway. But yeah, I'm super happy with the list so far. It's done pretty well for me. I'm not saying it's like a world ender. I do think a lot of people are evaluating Dash right now, including myself at the beginning, in like a mid-B tier. And I think once someone cracks it on exactly how to play this deck the best possible way, I think it can move into like the low to mid A tier level personally. But I'm super excited to play this deck post Lexi. This is like, other than Katsu, obviously, who I always am going to play, this is one of the decks like I want to take to Armories and play and get better at and refine and try to work a way to make it playable in the meta, because I do think it has some play. Dromai's a little tricky, but a lot of the matchups you do have a lot of agency into. You can race the aggro decks down. Bravo sucks, but it's not unwinnable because you can go wide enough with max V turns and Symbiosis shot. You just got to try not to get crushed to death in the process. Yeah, it has some play, in my opinion. So it just takes a lot of finesse. But yeah, let me know what you think of the list. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Again, I'm going to be doing also deck techs on Max and Riptide, because I think those decks need to be looked at a little bit more as well. Just kind of give players like a fun new thing to look at. And like on the bright side, you can't see it because it's cut off. This deck is only $380 and only, right? And comparatively to other decks, this is one of the cheaper decks you can get right now, in my opinion. It's actually, I think, the cheapest deck. I'm going to do a video this week on updated prices for top decks in Flesh and Blood, and all prices have gone down, which is good to see. One of the cheapest decks in the game, if not the cheapest deck, I think, is Dash.io. So if you're looking to get in the game and you want a solid, like just good deck that you think you can refine and try to get better with, take a look at this deck. So it's really good for that. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what your thoughts are, good or bad or indifferent, in the comments down below. And yeah, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not me, it's totally fine. Go to our Flesh and Blood creator, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. And I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much.